How did you first get involved in foster?
As a fourth grade teacher, I have a lot of students that I've seen over the years that ended up in foster care or were potentially in foster care placements, and just seeing them and knowing that if I could take them home and maybe make a difference in their lives, maybe a different trajectory, just be that parent that they haven't always had. My husband and I felt very strongly about being that for someone. We have 2 kiddos of our own, but we have lots of love to give and love children and just really care about our community. And, you know, if we can take somebody in and love on them for a little while, we wanted to be able to do that. I've made more calls to social services than I ever imagined, and you always err on the side of caution and make those phone calls hoping for the best, but sometimes you don't get the best. And you just want somebody, if it's not us, then another family, to be there for those kids. Unfortunately, you're a little excited because this is a kid that you can help, and it feels good to be able to help them. It's scary. You don't know the situation. You don't know who's involved, especially as we were getting our first placement. Just didn't know what to expect. It's a learning experience as you're getting those kiddos, and it's overwhelming, it's terrifying, it's sad. Probably one of our biggest and first feelings is just pure sadness. So just giving some of those comfort items that they can feel that connection to home. We always, for one of our children, we had a photo album with pictures of their family members, and so we would just look at those pictures and talk about the people in the pictures and just that home connection. Also, that first night is just figuring out boundaries. You know, what do they want from us? What is okay and what is not okay? And it's just, you know, and the kids are in charge of that. They let you know what they're okay with and what they need from you. Even when we've had placements already, we've had numerous calls for additional children to come stay with us. There's just not enough places for kids to go. I would say in a year, probably over a dozen calls. It's frustrating for the parents because they feel like they're being watched, I know. So whenever we have a visit, I always just try to carry on and do my own thing and just be present, but not be overbearing. That's their child, and I'm just here to facilitate the visitation, and you know, they've always done a wonderful job, so I haven't luckily had any major concerns, but you know, it's a little awkward, and especially when you're first meeting. But once you get to know the family, and like I said, we've had Christmas and Thanksgiving and holidays and Mother's Day and Father's Day, and we try to make sure that they get that time with their child. And so sometimes that means spending time with my family. So we've just kind of incorporated everybody into something that feels somewhat comfortable. You read about things, you hear about things, you learn about things, but until you're in the situation, there's no way anybody can prepare you for how it works, the emotions that you're going to feel. People always say, how can you do this? I just couldn't do it. And it's not that I'm heartless and it will be no problem to give a child back to their parents, but those children need us more than I need to protect my heart. Sorry. When you've had a baby since birth and he's about to be a year old, it's a scary thought about giving him back, but we also know that we've done everything we can do for him to give him the best start at life that we possibly can.
Do you dream of the day when that phone stops ringing?
Absolutely. That when I heard about the task force and its work, and I thought this is important work. People don't realize that this isn't just a problem for the family. This is like a pebble in a pond. The ripples are far-reaching. It's not just that family, it's their that child's grandparents and their aunts and uncles and my family and my extended family who's impacted. It's the community as we see this problem continue to grow. As a teacher, I see it affecting school children every day. It's the taxpayers who have to, this increase in placements is just exponential. That money has to come from somewhere. And that, that little pebble, that one family that's impacted, but it's far reaching. And I dream of that day that we can say we don't have enough kids for all these foster parents. That would be remarkable. That would be the best day ever. I really hope we can get there. And it's scary the way things are right now.
So in that same vein, how do you think that this campaign can help? How do you think this video can help, and who do you hope it reaches?
Every single person in the county. If it can stop one child from going into foster care, if it can stop one family from being torn apart, if it can stop one person from making that choice of using meth and not, then every single person's work will be validated. It's extra. I'm leaving my own kids to go to meetings. I'm, responding to emails at 10 o'clock at night when I should probably be in bed getting ready for the day or for the next day. So it's people that care, volunteering, wanting to see a difference. And if nobody does anything, nothing's ever going to change. It's thankless work, but it is the most important job besides being a parent and a teacher. It's very rewarding, and those kids fill my heart every day with joy, and I love them dearly.
How old were you when your mom started using?
10 or 11.
Do you have any early memories of knowing that she was using drugs?
Yeah. I remember getting told that she was. I was more confused than anything.
And at what point did you kind of realize what was going on?
When I started, 7th grade, I think I actually, because we took classes in school about it, so I actually started learning about what it actually was and stuff.
What is it like as a kid watching your parent get arrested?
It's confusing, and you are more disappointed than angry and upset, because you're just never thought that they're like your hero. You never thought they'd do anything that they'd have to get arrested for.
How do you deal with that emotionally? That it's not only that your mom's arrested, but now child services are involved in all that entails. How tough is that for you?
Very, because I used to be very talkative, but around after that started happening, I was very shy. So talking to people about it was really difficult. So I was just, all confused, and I didn't want to be there. I didn't want anything to do with that. I didn't want to believe that it was true.
Were you able to talk to your friends about what was going on?
Yeah, I was more comfortable with them, so I talked to them, and if they thought that I needed to talk to a counselor, they brought me down to the counselor's office at school, or to we have school, actual doctorate and everything to help with things like that at our schools.
Were you taken from your home for any period of time?
Yeah.
What is it like living in foster care, or knowing that your mom is out there trying to get help?
We mostly stayed with family because our family was a big part of our life. But after a while, we ended up going into foster care, and we only had to stay there for 4 months. And it was scary at first, but I absolutely love them. I am still in touch with them. I see them every day, and they're like my second family. So.
How proud are you of your mom for everything that she is?
That she's succeeding now. I am very proud of her. I knew she'd come through and do good.
Is there a time where you weren't sure of that?
At the beginning, I was after her first relapse, I was I don't know if she's gonna pull through this. I believe in her, but I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. So I kind of doubted it a little bit, but not too much.
You growing up, could you sense that something was off with her? Did you, before you even were aware that she was using, did you
She seemed to have a lot more energy. Like, she was doing a lot more things. The house was a lot cleaner than normal. Like, I knew she would stay up late, and she got up early. I didn't know if she went to bed at all sometimes. So I could hear her wrestling around and stuff, and I was just waking up or just falling asleep.
Is it harder or easier going through something like that with a sibling?
It's harder because he was like 8, almost 9 probably when it started. So I was like, he was getting kind of into the higher elementary school, so he was like all confused and stressed about that, and then all of a sudden Mom got taken and he couldn't see her anymore, and he's a big mama's boy, so it was hard for him. So it was harder on me seeing that he was struggling.
Was it tough to have those days where you had visitations where there would have to be someone else there just to spend some time
It
with
felt
your mom?
awkward, yeah. I was like, this is our mom. She's not going to do anything to us. Why do we have to have people watching us? So I was just, why?
What about when your mom was in jail? Was that a tough time, or did you feel like maybe a sense of calm that you knew that she was getting some help?
Both. It was very difficult because I knew I couldn't see her unless we found a special time to go and just see her a little bit. I knew we get to call her once or twice a week, or she called us. And we got mail back and forth. We got letters every day or every other day from her, and we sent stuff back all the time. But the only thing that kept me going and not freaking out more is knowing that she's getting help.
You talked a little bit about how she's doing now, but how much have you played in that, in helping her, and do you see that there's days where maybe she's still struggling?
I tried to act as calm as possible and tell her that she is very loved and that she can pull through, and I just supported her. I helped her with whatever she needed, and I was just there for her, more like a friend than a daughter, but also a daughter at the same time with it.
Initially, we can either be notified in writing or by the phone or through law enforcement regarding any cases that can come in, and that can be through neighbors, school, medical professionals, family members, or law enforcement as well. First, the report is either screened in or screened out. If the report is screened in, we have a response time that we need to meet. So that response time could be a same-day response time, meaning you need to go out right away or within that day. Impending danger would be a 24 to 48 hour response time, and so that would mean within 24 to 48 hours you need to respond. And then the third is a 5-day, and that is 5 business days, so those weekend days do not count. So depending on what the level of threat or maltreatment is, depends on how quickly we go out. Once we go out, we have a 60-day assessment period in order to determine if children are safe or not. There are different ways that we can respond when we get a new case. Typically, we like to coordinate with law enforcement first, and especially if it's sexual or regarding methamphetamine or physical abuse, typically we call law enforcement right away and say, we got this report, send it to them and say, would you like to accompany us on this? A lot of times it's with the investigators, the sensitive crimes investigators. Other times it's with officers that are available at the time. Then meet up with the officers, set up a game plan, and it's really nice to just coordinate, and we're both there looking at the CPS side and then the law enforcement side as well. The majority of our cases are methamphetamine related. There, of course, are a mixture of sexual and physical abuse as well, but methamphetamine is really the leader right now in the cases that we have. So child safety is our number one priority. So if there is a present danger and the child needs to be removed, we ensure they have medical attention, ensure that if the parents want help or treatment, that we get them going on that right away to help with their recovery as well. We like to have as little of a negative impact on children as possible. So if we can maintain them in the same school, that's best. If we can place them with relatives, that is best. Best practice is always with relatives and keeping the same school district if possible.
What is your office's job to make sure that if a kid is placed back in the home, that they're still safe and that there isn't a recurring problem?
Definitely months of sobriety before we are placing the children back in the home. So we want to see, there are certain requirements, recommendations from the court that we are wanting to see. We're wanting to see an AODA assessment, following through with any recommendations for treatment. We have a random drug screening program, so we're able to, they call in and there's a number and they determine if they need to test that day. There's also mental health intake that's required in any recommendations, because a lot of what we're seeing is we're seeing the methamphetamine or other drugs, but we're also seeing mental health that's not treated. And so working on both of those at the same time is really important. Children love their parents and children want to be with their parents, and at some point they understand why they're not home, but they still want to be home. And so looking at a child and telling them, sorry, you're not going home for a while. One of the best things I like to tell kids that are at an age is I say, you know, you go to school and you have homework when you come home, and your parents are working on homework right now. So when they get that done, that's when you can go home too.
Is there ever a sense in your office of, okay, we know that it looks like this is going to be a happy reunion and it looks like everyone's got their stuff together?
Yes. Sadly, they're few and far between, and especially with methamphetamine, because we are seeing a lot of relapse, and we are seeing parents that can do really well for a couple months and then they slide down, and then it's a slippery slope. They relapse once, and we know that sometimes relapse is a part of recovery, but sometimes it's, okay, I relapsed and I relapsed again 2 days later, and then it's not a relapse anymore, and they're stuck back in that trend. But we are seeing some really good parents that are working hard, and they're saying, you know what, my children are a priority and getting a treatment is a priority, and I'm going to continue to do that. Once we place children back in the home, we require them to still continue to work on those conditions. So it's not like you checked all those boxes, your children are home, you're done doing the work. We're saying, no, you still need to either be attending meetings, attending treatment, attending therapy, doing something for your recovery, because we know through statistics that if parents aren't continuing to work on that recovery, the likelihood of relapse is very high.
When you are talking about going from 14 cases to 30 cases during that span, what's the strain for your office and for your workers and just having that much more on your plate? And usually it's because of one single problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge strain because you're looking at 30 cases, but in that 30 cases, you are looking at parents and you are looking at children. Some parents have 6 children and some have 1. And then you're looking at coordinating with grandparents or aunts and uncles or other service providers, so that one case could take up hours of your week. And then you're being unable to meet the needs of all the families as much as you would like. In social work, we want to do that face-to-face contact, and sometimes we're bogged down by that paperwork and just checking in and are these children safe? You sometimes have gut feelings, like you're like, you know, these people are going to make it, or you have a gut feeling that, you know what, I might be back out here in a couple months, and I really hope I'm not, but I don't know if they have the tools in their toolbox to do what they need to do right now.
How much is this affecting the kids who have to watch their parents, you know, spiral out because of this drug?
I think it just has a very negative impact on the children. A lot of times what we're seeing when parents are using methamphetamine is that they're not coming to visits to see their children, and they're not calling them, and they're not keeping in contact. So we have children who say, hey, Sunday I get to see my mom, Sunday I get to see my dad, and Sunday comes and they're like, where are my mom and dad? And so the kids aren't having that primary caregiver that, regardless of whether that situation was neglectful or not, they want their mom or dad, and they don't understand.
And in that 5 years, how have you noticed a change in students or situations because of possible drug problems?
Yes, I have noticed a change. It has definitely increased. I know that in Chippewa County, drug use is up quite a bit, and we're seeing the effects at school. We're seeing students who are struggling with behaviors. Sometimes something might be going on, and how it comes out at school, it's usually some kind of behavior that's not necessarily kind or respectful towards others, and it comes out as outward behaviors, physical or verbal. So when a child is in crisis, we have a Parkview behavior support team that comes, and we support the child. We usually, if it's a child who's very elevated, we will remove all the children from the classroom and help that child as much as we can, not being physical with them, just using very little words, but giving them a safe place to calm themselves down and figure out what they need. And then that team is trained so that we can work together to figure out who would be the best person to help lead that child and get the classroom back to a normal situation.
Have you had more educators come to you, or have you noticed more changes in students? Are you able to spot that in specific kids throughout the year?
If there is a dramatic change, yes, the classroom teacher is definitely that first person that's in tuned to what the child's doing, and it could be they might have been really outgoing and social, and then they turn more inward and become more introverted and not wanting to share. That would also be another reason why teachers might identify a kid that might be in something might be going on at home. As mandatory reporters, yes, our teachers are all required to call in something. We do have a protocol if something seems off, or we feel that a child is in danger, or the child expresses that they feel that they're in danger.
What are some signs that your teachers or your staff are trained to look for?
Definitely those behaviors, whether they're more of an introvert or extrovert, withdrawn, not wanting to participate, tired. A lot of our kids come to school very tired, and that could be for a variety of reasons, but that would definitely be one of our clues or cues that our kids are, a change has gone on at home.
As an educator, is there a frustration when you see this type of ripple effect come down to young children?
Right. Just realizing that long-standing effect, working with our families, really encouraging good mental health, making sure that they're getting the proper services. Yeah, there's definitely a frustration. We want happy, healthy, active children, and the problems that we're seeing are not helping our kids get to that point.
Is it, and I know that a lot of times when there's that problem at home, it does carry over to school. And I think you touched a little bit about behavioral issues, but
yes,
overall, is it focus? And one student can affect that for the rest of the kids as well.
Absolutely. So yeah, just things like maybe hunger. Somebody, if they're not, if the family's not attentive to the child's needs because of a drug problem, they could be coming to school hungry. They could be coming to school not focused. They could be mind on other things, daydreaming, kind of putting themselves in another little world, so they don't have to deal with what's going on. Yes, we would see that.
Is addiction or dealing with, drugs and part of a conversation you have with your teachers, maybe before a school year, any part of training that you guys do?
Yes, actually, the Chippewa Falls Area School District is the recipient of a very large grant, statewide grant that focuses on training youth mental health, first aid training that our teachers are all going to receive. We also have something called our Cardinal Care, where the Chippewa Falls School District offers 4 free counseling services for our families. So we're training our teachers on how to encourage our families to reach out for counseling, and then to also take care of themselves, because taking self-care for our educators is we talk about that all the time, to make sure that they're getting what they need so they can support children that are in need.
When you're dealing with the foster care system, are you looped in on when a child has been placed in foster care? Is that something that the school is aware of?
We are notified, and we do receive notice from a social worker, and then many times the foster family will also reach out to us, so then we can work with that foster family on making a smooth transition and helping schools be the most stable part of that child's life. We also have some outreach that we're able to do when children are placed in foster care. We look to a couple of our agencies to help us get some, whether it's clothing, if something happened very quickly, clothing, shoes, toiletries, making sure that they have toothbrush, hairbrush, things like that to help make that transition smooth. We definitely support them in any way we can.
I think you made a great point there. School is supposed to be the safe place.
Right.
As educators, how do you ensure that maybe a kid has a really tough time at home, that when they go to school, that's where they
That's
can,
where they, yeah.
they
that-
can shine.
Yeah, that is exactly it. We try to tap into those, tap into their strengths, tap into their interests, tap into finding some people that children can confide in, and not necessarily things that are going on at home, but just confiding in just how they're feeling that day or anything that they can help them with in terms of their needs for the day. But definitely our teachers and other school staff build those really strong relationships with kids. Reading, writing, and math, that's, our goal is to make sure that we're creating kids that are ready for their future, whatever that post-secondary aspiration is for kids to thrive. We want them to be inquisitive and asking questions and figure out how they can contribute to the greater good of their community or their world. That's what it's all about. Resilience and persistence, and teaching a little grit along the way too.
You can apologize until you're blue to those people. And, they heard all the apologies when I was using, so it really didn't mean anything for a long time. I just had to show them that I was changing and show them that I'm doing the next right thing. And I'm very honest with my kids. I haven't tried hiding it or, making stories about, telling them I was off at summer camp or something instead of in jail. They've known the truth for the most part. And I'm hoping that helps them. They're both teenagers now, so, hopefully me being honest with them, helps the relationship from here on out. My family, the same thing, I just had to show that I was doing the next right thing, and it took a while for people to come around. There's some people that still haven't, and hopefully eventually that'll change, but I can't force it to change. Before I even started using, I really was never a confident person. I had pretty low self-esteem. I didn't show that, I acted like I was all good. But now through treatment and counseling, other services I've done, it has improved my self-esteem and my confidence. And, I don't need other people now to make me happy. I'm happy with myself. It took a long time to get over the guilt, and now, yes, there's things I'm sorry for and I regret. However, I'm not going to let that control my life and, make me an upset, sad, angry person anymore. Just the day-to-day, I'm tired all the time. They say there's chemicals that will never get back up to that level because I altered that level. So, I feel tired most days. And there are days where I'm like, oh, if I just used, I could get my house clean. So I do struggle with that. Not every day anymore. Relationships, for a while I had, old friends that I used with that I can't talk to anymore, and I still think about them. I wish the best for them. I just know I can't put myself in that situation. So it does hurt because some of them are still out there using, and, there's nothing I can do about that. But, it's not worth putting myself at risk. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the drug, and what it does to everybody else. So I'm hoping, that now I can be an inspiration to other people. Say, she did it, I can do it too, look where she's at now. That's my biggest thing. I want to be able to inspire other people, show them that it's possible. You can do it with just a little bit of help. You can't do it on your own. It's almost impossible. But, this community, I think, is getting a lot more accepting and supportive of recovering addicts. And I think that's helping a lot.
What's it going to take to kind of stop this growing trend?
Community. Really, it's going to be people being more accepting of giving people a chance, whether it's a job, a place to live. It's a lot. It takes the whole community. It's not just one person. It's not just, oh, my dad can help me out and give me a place to live. It's not just that. You need, the support of the whole community. It's hard when you walk down the street and you were on the news because you were arrested. People are looking down on you. That's hard to do, is to walk down the street and hold your head high. But I think it's the culture around here anyways is getting a lot better from what I've seen in the last couple of years.
what do you hope that your story can help someone who might be struggling and say that they don't see a way out from this cycle?
Talk to somebody, whether it's a police officer. We honestly have awesome law enforcement officers in this area that'll give you an ear without arresting you. If that's who it is you need to talk to, a counselor, a doctor, a teacher, you know, go into a 12-step program. You'll find a ton of support there. Just talk to somebody. There's people out there that want to help. You just need to ask.
I have seen a number of graduates from drug court out in the community. I was born and raised here. I try and shop locally for everything, and I've gone to a number of businesses where the people that graduated from our recovery court have run into me, and they see me right away, shake my hand. I ask them how things are going. They tell me I've been 4 years or 5 years or 8 years sober now. I got my life back together. My wife, I'm back with my kids. I'm a grandparent now, or whatever that they have. They have success stories. And that is it gives you a sense of hope that what you're doing right. And that this problem can be tackled, and we'll have success stories. Those are the things that really make us keep going and try and strive for things like this meth campaign that we're doing here. It gives you hope that we are able to tackle this problem and succeed for the future of our community and the future of our children.